Nana Takes the Reins by Katherine and Cabell Harris. Chapter 4. All Good Things Must Come to an AP. As for Nana, let's just say that not all things in life go according to plan. This is particularly true when one is driving a 1948 Dusty Drifter with a rusty muffler and a broken tail light and three flat tires and one very tall steering wheel. Everything went fine along Paprika Street. Vinegar Street was a breeze as well, though a somewhat smoky breeze. But then, turning on to Churning Avenue by way of the duck pond, the trouble began. Maybe it was the quadruple mailbox loop-de-loop, or perhaps it was the high-speed pond glide with a reverse half twist. At any rate, it started with a sputter, which soon turned into a cough, followed by several quacks. Actually, scratch the quacks, they came from the duck. Next came a snort, followed by what sounded like the opening notes of the Star Spangled Banner as sung by a bullfrog, and lastly, rap, bap, 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 bap. Oh my, said Nana, climbing out of her car to have a look. That didn't sound so good, did it? No, it certainly didn't. And in fact, Nana's chances of becoming a bull rider suddenly looked about as slim as a one-legged walking stick. But we must look on the bright side, thought Nana, who was quite skilled at finding silver linings, as difficult to locate as they could sometimes be. It helps, of course, if you hum a tune. And so, as Nana walked around and around the dusty drifter looking for just where to begin, she hummed herself a happy tune. Well, she said when she spotted the duck on top of her car, I suppose I shall begin with you. She lifted the duck from the roof and began smoothing its feathers, which were quite ruffled from the journey. I do believe, said Nana, that I owe you an apology. Quick, said the duck. He had meant to say quack, but his quacker was a bit out of whack, as you can imagine after such an ordeal. Nevertheless, Nana did her best to accommodate. Quick as she could, she apologized to the duck for the great inconvenience of removing him from his home on the pond. She then resumed her walk around the car, this time with her feathered companion waddling along behind. Now let's see, she said. Where might that silver lining be? Chapter 5. This meeting is now called to order. While normally Eufaula and Bog dragged their feet behind their mother, now it was Elaine who did all the lollygagging. And it was Eufaula and Bog this time, not their mother, who walked with long strides and upturned chins. Hurry, Mother, urged Eufaula. We have to get home, insisted Bog, for they were both quite anxious to discuss what Nana was up to, and even more importantly, how they could get in on what Nana was up to. All three of them were so twisted up in thought that instead of continuing on their way to the grocery store, they had turned around and started back home. Elaine had even managed to forget all about the sour cream. In fact, only three words ran through her mind: what, own, and earth. What on earth? She mumbled as she dragged her feet behind the children. Though she had little proof, Elaine often got the strangest feeling that Nana was up to something. She just never knew exactly what the something was. For every time she found a clue as to what the something might be, such as a muddy pair of work boots next to Nana's house shoes, the clue would disappear and be replaced by a completely different clue, such as an acrobat's baton poking out from under the umbrella stand. But then all Elaine had to do was remind herself that Nana was entirely too old to do anything but, well, be very old. And so it was again. By the time they reached home, Elaine found herself shaking her head and laughing at herself for even thinking it could have been Nana's 1948 Dusty Drifter. Of course not. How silly of me, she muttered as she led the children into the house, which always carried the faint smell of sauerkraut and bleach. After removing their coats and shoes, Fala and Bog tore off their clothes and made for the tub. Oh, yes, this is new information, isn't it? The children's baths. As you know, Elaine is a bit of a worrier. And one of the things that worriers love to most worry about is, and here they will often shudder at the very thought, the bacterial germ. And so, unlike most children who take one bath a day at most, Eufaula and Bog were required to take three: a morning bath, an after lunch bath, and one more in the evening before bed. They were, despite their best efforts to the contrary, perhaps the squeakiest children in all of Lettisburg. Eufaula washed behind her ears in record time. Bog nearly took the skin off his shins, so rigorous was his scrubbing. And then it was a flickery of towels, and the children dried themselves off, and got into their new clothes. Oh, heavens, no, not the same clothes they had just worn that morning. Finally, the children arranged themselves knees to knees on Euphala's bed for a meeting of the utmost importance. First order of business: candy. Bog, chair of the candy committee, divided the gummy rats he had pulled from his secret hiding place, which for security purposes cannot be mentioned here, and the children each tucked a handful of chewies into their cheeks. It's not that they weren't eager to get on to the more important matters. It's just that over the years they had found, and perhaps you have too, that it is much easier to think when one has sweets tucked into one's cheeks. Okay, said Eufaula after she had arranged the rats in a neat row along the outside of her bottom teeth. We have to figure out where Nana was going. She had to be going somewhere. Maybe she was going to the circus, said Bog, growing more excited with each word. Yeah, he said, and she was on her way to pick us up, and Bog, said Eufaula, the circus left town last week, remember? Oh, yeah, said Bog, who had especially hoped to see the lion tamer put his head inside the lion's mouth. Well, then maybe she's taking us to Happy Land. Bog, a gummy rat popped out of Euphala's mouth and landed on her knee. Happy Land's like 1,000 miles away. It was just an idea. Eufaula returned the rat to its place in line and said, Look, forget what Nana's doing. The question is, how are we going to get out of here? It wasn't the first time the children had asked themselves this very question. Yeah, said Bog. What are we going to do? I don't know. Eufaula thought of all the ideas they had tried before. They couldn't say they were going back to school for extra homework, not in June. They couldn't say they wanted to take some cookies to old Mrs. McCrotchety across the street because Mrs. McCrotchety asked their mother to please not send over anymore. Maybe it was because last time they nearly gave her a heart attack when they practically threw the cookies at her and screamed, Hi, Miss McCrotchety, bye, Miss McCrotchety, before running off to do whatever it was they had escaped to do. I don't know either, said Bog, who had been over his list of ideas too. Well, we have to think of something, said Eufaula. Yeah, said Bog. What should we do? I don't know, said Eufaula. I think I hear someone downtown calling me. Mm, I left my toothbrush down by where the circus is setting up. Uh, I think I'm allergic to houses. See, I'm itching. Me neither, said Bog. Do you have any ideas? No, I just told you that. Oh, yeah. I'm trying to think. Did you think of anything yet? Oh, you have to be quiet so I can think. Oh, yeah. And so on until Eufaula finally screamed, Sour cream! Never had those two words sounded so beautiful to her ears. We forgot to get sour cream. Of course. Why didn't they think of it before? Actually, said Bog, I was just about to say that. No, you weren't, said Eufaula, and quickly placed a finger in each ear so she wouldn't have to listen to her brother's babbling as she led the way down the hall. As expected, they found their mother sitting at the dining room table with her butterfly specimens laid out in neat rows. She held a magnifying glass in one hand and a bog fritillary in the other hand. Elaine often passed long hours at the table examining her butterflies, a fact the children counted on whenever they needed to attend to their more mischievous affairs. Mother, said Eufaula in her most darling voice, imagine a tiny fairy sitting atop a pile of pink petals. Would you like for us to go get your sour cream for you? Interrupted Bog, smiling like a cherub despite the hole his sister's glare was burning into the side of his face. Oh, asked their mother. The sour cream. I forgot the sour cream. Yes, mother, said Eufaula. And if we don't go get sour cream, then we won't have any sour cream, said Bog. And then what would we do? Added Eufaula. You're absolutely right. Elaine began to sap the Bog fritillary down on its tray, though it looked as if her fingers were having difficulty letting go. I'll just get my purse, she said, looking down at the furry gray brown moth as if it were the most beautiful creature she'd ever laid eyes on. That's okay, said Eufaula, who saw her only hope shrinking before her eyes. I mean, I think we're responsible enough to walk to the store on our own. Responsible. In all its forms and synonyms was a word that Elaine liked very much. It was as sweet to her ears as Lepidoptera. You might want to look that up, Lepidoptera. Side note. Elaine looked at her children, who looked as if they could use another bath, and then a butterfly pinched between her tweezers. My purse is in the kitchen, she said. Watch out for cars, don't talk to strangers, and put your coats on. But it's 93 degrees, Bog started. Yes, Mother, Eufaula interrupted, yanking her brother out of the room. And your hats, called their mother. Keep away from. But soon her words turned fuzzy and her worries grew wings, and lowering the tweezers, she gently set her bog fritillary back down into its tray ever so lovingly and lifted out another one of her favorite specimens, Larodia eufaula. Eufaula and Bog did as they were told. First and most important stop, their mother's purse. Eufaula pulled out two $20 bills, and Bog went in for a third. How were they to know, after all, how much sour cream costs? Then they pulled on their hats and coats and headed out the door, where they immediately pulled off their hats and coats and dropped them behind the rhododendron bush. She never said keep 'em on, said Eufaula. I didn't hear her say to keep 'em on, agreed Bog, flapping his arms in the warm morning air. And anyway, as the saying goes, they flew.